Hi VC, summer is definitely over, isn't it? I'm going to try something a bit new today. Perhaps this will be an ongoing series, and I'm going to call it my month in 10 records. So this is September 2024, summed up in 10 records, either from my collection or ones I bought or things that have been inspired by stuff I've watched, read, whatever. But I thought it was an interesting way to show a few items I've picked up and things that are in my collection. So yeah, let's do it. So the first category is from the stacks. So this is basically something I've pulled off the shelves and been playing a fair bit or rediscovered. So Harmony Grass, this is their, I think their one and only album, and this came out in 1970. And this is a fantastic record. You know, if you watch this channel, how much I love my vocal harmonies. And this record is just slathered in Beach Boys style harmonies. This is one most definitely for people who are into the Beach Boys, Harper's Bazaar, perhaps Spanky and our Gang, Honey Bus, The Left Bank, The Four Seasons, that's, what's it called? Imitation Life Gazette album. If you like that, you'll love this album. It is orchestrated harmony pop and it is so well done. It's absolutely fantastic. And this is on that orange RCA level. So an original 1970s pressing. You know, I've had this for a while and enjoyed it first time I played it, but recently I've been digging it out and really recognising what a great record it is. So you all saw the footage. Perry Farrell punching his bandmate Dave Navarro. Yeah, never need much of an excuse to listen to Jane's Addiction. I'm glad I got to see them in UK earlier on that tour before they started throwing punches at each other, because they were fantastic. I saw them at the, what's it called, the Bush Hall in Shepherd's Bush in West London. Small venue, absolutely rammed with hardcore fans, and they were superb on the night. They were, you know, there's no sign of the friction that was going to kibosh the rest of the tour. So I'm glad they played the UK first before heading off to the States. You probably all know this album. If you don't, check it out. My original pressing, unfortunately, it's got a bit of a sleeve tear there, but almost blends into the pattern on the side there. I picked this up in a charity shop a few years ago. I think I paid £2 for it. So even with that tear, I think I got an absolute bargain. Strategically placed post-it notes to keep YouTube happy. Great album. I mean, it's got Jane Says, which is one of the better known songs, really nice sort of acoustic type thing, and the Monstrous Mountain song as well. So yeah, they're in the news for all the wrong reasons, but a great band. Another band in the news, Oasis, of course, because they've got back together. Nothing to do with the money, of course. And I'd actually been playing their first couple of albums quite a lot before they announced they were getting back together. And when they released tour dates, my youngest, my 15-year-old, he's a mad Oasis fan. Why, I don't know, but he's obsessed with all things 90s. Really wanted to go. I did what everyone else did, queued online for tickets for most of the day, didn't get anything. And then there's all the scandal about tickets being sold for 3 times their face value on the official site and all the rest of it. So that's kind of left a sour taste in the mouth. I saw Oasis a couple of times back in the day. You know, decent live band, good crowd atmosphere, a bit of a Larry Lads atmosphere. But this is a fantastic album. Of course, you all know this as well. Definitely, maybe, you know, their best album. The second album is their second best album. It was kind of downhill from there, but they released a couple of absolute stormers, which pretty much defined the 90s for a lot of people. So yeah, Oasis in the news. So yeah, I read a lot, and I kind of tend to alternate novels and music biographies. And this is one I've been dipping in and out of recently. What's it called? Running Down a Dream, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. And this is basically the companion piece, sort of coffee table book to the Peter Bogdanovich huge documentary box set that came out a few years ago, which is essential viewing. Absolutely brilliant DVD box set. And this is a beautifully presented book. I don't think you'll find any pictures or information here which aren't in the film, but it's nice to just have them to hand to. There you go, losing my place. But crammed full of fantastic pictures, great interviews with the band. Love this book. Love Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. And for that reason, I've been listening to Echo a fair bit recently. This is a reissue, I think. Couldn't tell you what, I think 2016 they re-released this. So it came out originally in 1999. Not everyone's favourite Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers album because it is pretty dark. I mean, it's hardly surprising. Tom Petty had just got through a fairly messy divorce. Howie Epstein, the bass player, was in the depths of his drug addiction and would die a few years later. And lyrically, it is a dark, you might say depressing album, but I don't have a problem listening to other people's misery. It makes for some really good music sometimes, and this is a fantastic album. There's not a huge amount of upbeat stuff on it, but yeah, it's just beginning to end. It's a fantastic album. I'm looking at track titles and wondering what to recommend to you, but I think you just need to listen to the whole thing. Great record. I love that album sleeve. I think I'm right in saying Howie Epstein isn't on that sleeve. Don't see him there. I think that's just because he was in such a kind of a drug spiral that he just kept missing his plane to turn up for the photo shoot. I think Tom Petty in the end said, we can't keep waiting, let's just do it without him. Great sleeve. I mean, it kind of sums up the music on the album. It's kind of very black and white, obviously. It's dark. There's no joy in that photograph at all. They kind of try and find their way out of the long grass. You know, there's a lot of imagery there. This is a record that I got out in the wild. Not an online purchase, one that I went to a shop, record fair, charity shop, boot fair, whatever, and I picked this up. And this is one I picked up a couple of days ago, actually. It's one I've had on CD for years. Queens of the Stone Age's debut album. Great stuff, great band. This was from the days back when Nick Oliveri was still in the band on bass, and I saw them live a few times, I think when the second album came out. And he had this disturbing habit, Nick Oliveri, of playing in the nude. Wouldn't want to be in the front row with that kind of swinging around in your face, but they were a really entertaining band. I mean, they're still a great band, but I think most bands, when they've been around for a while, they struggle to reignite that fire that was originally sort of underneath them when they released their early material. So this and the Rated R album are superb. Now, I bought this in one of my local charity shops. I've mentioned this before, has a quarterly vinyl sale, and I was one of the saddos queuing up outside a charity shop at 9 o'clock in the morning. But there's always bargains to be had. Amazing amount of stuff gets handed into the charity shop for sale during those 3 months in which they save up to put out in the sale. So I got this new and sealed for 12 quid, so I was delighted with that. Fantastic album. This is that real kind of dirty stoner desert rock with just unrelenting fuzzy riffs. Can't recommend this highly enough. So this is a record I've been after for such a long time. It turns up for sale on Discogs, but always in the States, and I really balk at paying more for postage than for the record itself. Do it occasionally. In fact, I'm waiting for something to come through from Canada at the moment. It's taking its time, so I'm hoping that turns up. But this record, I managed to find a copy on Discogs in the UK, and at a what I thought was a very reasonable price. I was more than happy to add Stepson to my collection. A few old stickers on the shrink wrap there, which I'll probably remove. I'll probably remove a shrink wrap. I'm not a big fan of shrink wrap. But this is a fantastic hard rock album. It's just proper 70s hard rock. It's dirty, it's heavy. It reminds at times of early Jay Giles band. They have that kind of bluesy, good time sensibility with, you know, touches of harmonica and stuff in here, but there are some really brutal riffs on here as well. It's really one for, you know, early 70s hard rock fans. So yeah, I paid, I think I paid 30 quid including postage for this, which, you know, I'm more than happy to do that. I've been waiting years to get this, so that is a great price in my book. And I'm not sure the copies on Sound States go for much less than that anyway, so I did well. I've been doing a lot of digging through my collection, trying to weed out the sort of dead wood recently. And I have got a video in the pipeline where I'm going to show my methods for doing that and the reasons for doing that. And this is one I pulled off thinking this was definitely going to go. I hadn't played it in years. I don't remember disliking it when I had played it, but I didn't really remember anything about it. And possibly the reason I hadn't gone back to it is because it just looks like one of those run-of-the-mill mid-70s yacht rock albums. Bobby Dazzler, even the name is appalling. And that band logo just looks like the kind of the signage you'd have above some tacky provincial nightclub. The band kind of looks, well, they look like could be a rock band. Unusually they have two lead singers, which may be a little bit off-putting, not your normal band lineup. But this is fantastic. This isn't going anywhere. This has been saved from the cull. Yes, there are yacht rock elements, but I guess that just comes from how smooth and slick and professional it is. This is probably about as far removed from the kind of stuff that someone who's into the Pistols and the Clash would ever want to listen to, I imagine. Although I like the Pistols, but yeah, this is probably part of the reason why punk happened. But although at heart it might be a yacht rock album, it has such pomp rock elements to it. You know, soaring synth lines and some really gorgeous attacking guitar on it. Fantastic vocal harmonies. The two lead singers really work on this. This is an album I'm really going to be going back to and re-exploring. I love it. Absolutely fantastic. So yeah, Save from the Cull. Worthy save as well, because this is a great bit of pomp rock and the production is fantastic. Don't sleep on this if you see it. If you see it, it will be cheap as well, and it's well worth a listen. What's next? It's going to be my bargain of the month. And this was one I think I bought this right at the start of September, and I discovered a new boot fair. New to me, it's not a new boot fair, but one I hadn't bothered going to before. I didn't think it'd be that good. It's at school, and I thought, well, it's going to be like half a dozen tables set up in a school playground selling, you know, toddlers' clothing or something. But I couldn't have been more wrong. Great boot fair, not telling you where it is. And I picked up this Barry Ryan self-titled album. You may remember I picked up one of his in, I think it was Berlin earlier in the year. Or was it last year? I forget. Really enjoyed that. I assumed that might be the only decent album in his back catalogue. But when I saw this, and it was only £1 at this boot fair, and in really decent condition. I mean, there's a bit of laminate wrinkle there, but the actual disc is in great shape. It's on Polydor. So that's borderline mint. And this is such an enjoyable album. It is that kind of Baroque pop that you might expect. Chamber pop, whatever you want to call it. But there are most definitely psych elements on here. You know, certain treatments on the vocals and things like that which just take it up another level. So I'm very happy to have this. I'm not familiar enough with it yet to recommend particular tracks, but again, if you see this, don't hesitate, jump on it. It's a really decent album. So this is the album probably I've been playing most this past month. I think I got this in the Music and Video Exchange was it in Greenwich? I think it might have been in Greenwich. Hadn't heard of them before. Did a quick sort of Google search in the shop and thought, yep, that sounds like it could be interesting. The Sundowners, the Master, Cut the Master. Really love the artwork on that. It's a textured sleeve. Don't know whether you can tell that from the video, but it's a really nice tactile object as well. And this band has links to the Coral, who are a band that I've got a lot of time for. A great sort of Liverpudlian band who have a lot of psych elements to their music. Not always. They're kind of indie rock, and they are always floating in that sort of psych, neo-psych sort of area. And this is very much a companion piece to the Coral, I guess. It's kind of a harder take on the Cocteau Twins' sort of shoegaze sound in a way. Almost as if Rosalie Cunningham had taken control of the band. So it's almost like Rosalie Cunningham singing with the Cocteau Twins, but then it's got a harder edge as well. It's definitely ethereal. It's sort of driftingly psychedelic, but with a lot more rock credibility. I cannot get enough of this album at the moment. I mean, it brings to mind bands like Goat, the Swedish psych band, but I prefer it to Goat. I find Goat a little bit amateurish sometimes. This is really well done. Touch of Susie and the Banshees, loads of phasing and fuzz guitar on here. Mellotron, or at least what sounds like Mellotron to me. Dreamy female vocals, echoey sax in places, liquid bass lines, and lots of trippy interludes between the songs. It is deeply psychedelic, and I'm loving it. I'm really loving it. Like I say, it has that Coral links. I think James Skelly, who's the guitarist in the Coral, produces this, and Ian Skelly, the drummer, I think created the artwork for the sleeve. So I think they've been taken under the Coral's wing a little bit. They're a totally new one on me. I picked it up because I thought the sleeve looked interesting. I paid £8 for this, I think, and it's absolutely beautifully mint. So no regrets there. Great album. And that is my turntable hog for September. This was one that I actually bought it on Vinted. I bundled it in with a load of other stuff that I knew and wanted. The seller had this, and I thought, why not? It's £4. It's never been played, and it's by a band called Mammut. The record's called Kind of Versions, and Mammut, or Mammoth, are an Icelandic alternative rock band. And I guess they have a lot in common with a lot of those other Nordic rock bands. You can definitely hear the influence of Sigur Rós, and the vocals on here are very reminiscent of Björk. But this is a more rock album than anything Björk has done. It reminds me a bit, I suppose, of Björk when she was in Sugar Cubes, although even that's not right, because this is a less upbeat sounding band, and there's none of the clubby elements that crept into the Sugar Cubes at times. But yeah, vocally, it's a more rock Björk. I can't believe I hadn't heard of this band before. Really well worth checking out, and £4 well spent. So that's it. That is my month in 10 records. And if nothing else, hopefully this will encourage me to do a roundup at the end of each month. So you're going to get at least one video from each month. That's it for now. Leave your comments. Love to know if you've heard any of these records and can recommend anything similar, what you think of the concept of this video, any comments you've got. It's always good to have feedback. Nice to have some feedback from people who don't normally leave comments. I love the comments from my regulars, but it'd be nice to have a few other voices joining the discussion as well. So, bye for now. See you again soon.